I'll make a motion to, no, I won't make a motion. I will call the Selectmen's meeting to order on Monday, July 16th at 6:40 p.m. with a roll call vote. Phil Preston?
Here.
Danny Golden?
Here.
Jeanette Stewart here. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we have approval. Okay, we'll have approval of minutes of July 2nd. Are there any corrections?
I read them and I think Bill had, and I have no...
I'll move we approve the minutes.
Okay, I'll second it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Aye, I'm sorry, Pat. The July 11th one, and that was really not a meeting. That was when we had to just call a meeting to review and sign the manifest and review and sign the invoices.
I make a motion we accept it as is.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Yeah.
Yes, what, Dan?
Manifest.
Do you have the manifest?
One for you. One for you.
Thank you. It's okay.
That's pretty short.
Sandy, have a chance to look these over.
Okay.
I signed it, right?
Yep.
I think I signed it.
So lucky.
Warm and easy.
It is.
It is warm in here.
here.
We should hold this meeting at the beach if it's picked up.
I think so. On the right.
Well, then we have to go tonight to go forward this. She wants this paper signed. She said she wanted this one signed.
I would do that in the select board
Yeah.
items.
Yeah.
Okay. And that one too.
Paul, I'm going to let you introduce
I shall have to.
our speakers because you have talked with them.
Our first guest tonight is Judy Wallach, and she's running for state representative, and she wanted to come before the board and also meet with some of the members of the community. It's very nice to have you here.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to step up? I'm sorry that I
Thank you.
didn't come and introduce myself. I'm
Oh,
Paul
wow.
Branscombe.
Hi, Paul.
Very nice to meet you.
You don't sound local.
I'm not. No. Well, I am now. And thank you for coming.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. Hi, good evening. I'm Judy Wallace, and I'm a candidate for representative from the new Grafton 9th District. And it is so new to me because they took my little hometown of Grafton. As a matter of fact, I was just down at Cumberland Farms and mentioned that I was from Grafton. She said, that's not a town. However, Grafton used to go with Canaan and Field towards the west, towards Lebanon and Upper Valley, and our newspaper is that area also. But anyway, so this is all new, and it's a beautiful area up here. Anyway, by way of introduction, I have about over 20 years background in small businesses. A lot of them were small women-owned businesses. That just happens to be the way it is, or was. And one in particular was turtle fur. And you all may have ski hats made out of turtle fur. But I did the publicity and marketing there for a while. And got very interested in what was happening to our waste. It's a polyester fleece. Honestly, it doesn't biodegrade, and I was encouraged and got a grant from the natural resources people and developed a patent, which isn't being used, but nonetheless, we tried. There was turtle. But what I think I bring to being a candidate is a long background of community service. For the last 6 years, I've been a board member at Headrest, which is the Substance Abuse Treatment Center in Lebanon, New Hampshire. And additionally, I've been a Make-A-Wish wish granter, which was very fun, very touching. Mentor to a young at-risk girl for a year or two, which was also very rewarding. And I just finished no, 2 days ago, my 9th annual Proudy Bike Ride to raise money for Norris Cotton Cancer Center at Dartmouth, which we get a whole big house party in to do it. And it's good fun and certainly a very good cause. And I'm happy to report that they raised more money this year than ever before. Anyway, why am I running? And now, politics is not exactly my background, but about a year ago, like many people, I think, I got really concerned about what was going on. So concerned that I even, from the library, took out a book about the fall of the Roman Empire, thinking that Congress really was kind of fiddling when we had very serious problems affecting us. This economic downturn has been absolutely frightening and very difficult for all of us. And I realized that ordinary citizens like me need to roll up their sleeves and get to work for the democracy that we all want. And we are all in this together. One of the things that really upset me was extreme partisanship that we see particularly in Washington that seems to have by contagion gotten to Concord. And it just doesn't seem to me that's the right way to row the boat. Indeed, yesterday in the Sunday Valley News, there was an editorial that kind of addressed this, but there was a wonderful little simple quote from Representative Richardson from Hopkinton. And he said, the legislative process should be a collaboration of ideas to come up with the best possible solution. And if elected, that's the way I want to work, and I hope that the whole House can come together and work. At this early stage of being a candidate, though, I'm meeting people for the first time in new towns to me, and it seems to me that a representative is representing you And I'd be very curious to know what the issues are that you see as priorities that we want to have solutions for, so I'll better know how to focus my time. Does anybody have an issue?
Just one.
Oh, how about your favorite?
I should speak, I'm not from, I'm from the area.
Okay.
Jane, did you?
Management is here.
Well, I would like to know, I liked your saying that you want to work with others within the legislature. And unfortunately, we've heard that a lot before. And once somebody gets in, they have to fall to one side or the other. Do you think that you're a strong enough person to be able to work with both sides?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I know you said you've owned or been involved in a lot of startup businesses and so on.
You know what I didn't tell you? Is that most of my adult life, I was a single working mother.
Okay.
I'm tough.
All right, yes, you are. I agree.
I am tough.
And the other thing is, in Ashland, we have a lot of businesses that are leaving. We're trying to attract new business. What are your ideas on economic development and how small towns like ours can help that along, to promote it? Do you have some ideas on that, or is that something that you are going to think about and address at the time?
I could do a better job by thinking it through better than addressing it right now. I did work for about 8 years in venture capital. So I know a little bit about how things get financed. Additionally, I attempted, and for good reasons, did not succeed in commercializing that patent I was telling you about the recycled fluff from the turtle trunk. But during that time, I learned a great deal about working with SCORE, the Service Corps of Retired Executives, and various economic development organizations. And here in New Hampshire, we have a very good system. We may have too large a system to help budding new businesses. But I do think that starting entrepreneurial businesses is going to be the future and the way that we do create jobs.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate you being
Do
here.
you still have the shoe tree company here in Ashland?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
I thought that was
That is still here.
And we've got a marketing campaign going, getting more people using shoe trees.
Yeah.
So economic development is one. Do you have an issue?
I do, milfoil in the lakes. Do you have any thoughts on that? Or?
Well, I know that this very past weekend at our Grafton Pond, that the field of volunteers were out there and being very, very strict and checking bottoms. Do I have ideas? I think that it has to be controlled. Certainly, it's very expensive, I know, to control. Pardon me?
To harvest it.
To harvest, right.
Yeah, to get it out of there, because it's just accumulating every year, it's getting worse.
Has this body of water, has it been harvested? Have you done that?
I know of.
Yeah,
I'm talking about Swan Lake.
I
know where
That's what I was going to-
Harvested
river
and
is
also mats on the bottom of the lake.
Yeah.
I know where the
What
farm
year?
has been done.
Smoked out fish too.
Yeah.
Really
That's
fantastic.
I would like to see that reversed.
Yeah, me too.
I know that there are divers that go down and weed the bottom. And I don't know more than that.
And that's just kind of my thoughts on it.
I think it needs to be controlled. And, I think it,
Beautiful resource to lose.
I think also that Swan is not alone, that there are many other
Right, it's happening
lakes.
everywhere.
And there may be some good ideas out there.
And the thing is, that is the state. The state is responsible for that, not the town, so.
I know that with Saki, a lot of the towns have gotten together and raised a lot of money for the harvesting of it. But I didn't know if the state had anything to do with it, or if they'd like to.
I don't know either yet, but it's something that we have to really have to look into, because that affects that affects mental state and quality of their life.
Yes, hi. What's your thought on getting the veterans the help that they need? I know one of them want to address the transportation. I know sometimes they have a hard time getting to appointments and stuff. And this one person here in town was telling me that he had to get a ride to Meredith to try to get the ride to White River. And making these connections is extremely hard. He thought, I'm guessing Vietnam era.
Yeah.
I'm fortunate I have 2 sons and I get them to an appointment, but not everybody has
Aren't
that.
they lucky to have you?
Well, I'm the same way as me, but
Yeah.
but I do know there are other ones. And this one in particular, I'm just not comfortable with taking him. He just kind of scares me, but I've been trying to make him get connections.
Are these appointments going to be in hospital or in White River?
White River.
Right?
Yeah, they can choose White River or Manchester. It's the same distance.
Yeah,
It's what they're comfortable with, basically.
right.
But sometimes, I do know a couple guys here in town have a difficult time getting to it.
Transportation in these rural parts is extremely difficult.
I have something I want to say. And tonight, Paul
Right, I
Weston
knew
and
that.
Patsy Kendall will
I'm
be
gonna be
talking
there,
about
but
this.
it's just, gotta go further, and you gotta have the backing of them.
Janet?
I have a question.
Yes, hi there.
What is your take on the right to bear arms in the state of New Hampshire?
I think everybody should have the right to bear arms in the state of New Hampshire. At home, we have 2 sporting guns, and I personally don't touch them.
Thank you.
Good, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
My
Judy.
pleasure.
Paul, would you like to introduce?
Yes, now we have a welcome return from Patsy Kendall, who some of you will remember came here last year and told us that she was receiving a grant from the state to purchase a mobility manager, amongst other things. And I'm very pleased to say that a name that's very familiar to the community, certainly the municipal community here, Paul Weston, who's going to tell us a little bit about himself in a minute. But Patsy, welcome back.
Thank you. Unfortunately, I was here a lot longer ago than I hoped to be. This grant took a way long time. It's been a very interesting experience to do this. It was totally grassroots operation. We have a 19-town area that's the only unserved area in the state. I mean, it's like this little island of unserved people. 35,000 people, nothing. And as you know, from the handout we gave you, there's a lot that we don't have. And one of the things we're trying to do is change that. So we have services. We're going to start with a volunteer program so that people can get to medical appointments, to get groceries, just make daily decisions about their lives that everybody else has to make, and live in a somewhat accommodating fashion to everybody else. So the whole project is based on a community. As you all know, a small community is different than a large one, and it's very definitely a rural project here. And we've been lucky to get a couple of grants from the feds. I do know who those guys are, don't you? Do you?
They know who we are.
They're learning. And I've been attending the statewide transportation meetings for a long time. Paul is now starting to attend them. We are also involved in a regional project. All of this is coordination. And eventually, this all will be one big, huge project that's all together. Now, it's not there yet, but it's going to be there. It's going to be there. There's no question it's going to be there. One of the great things about what we're doing is that we have a senior center. The senior center does wonderful things, but what they do, they provide services from sometimes 9 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon and do a lot of things and keep those little vans running like crazy all over these little towns. The problem is that doesn't really cover it all. As you know, you have people, friends, neighbors, who don't get services. So what we're trying to do is coordinate with the senior centers and cover some of the things they can't cover at all, and also cover the rest of the day, and cover a little more age range and a little more disability range. because disability isn't a category that's really not covered. And disability is a very general category, sort of self-defined. If you break your leg, you're as disabled as anybody else, you know? If you can't get there, you can't get there. That's the point. We got to make this something that everybody has access to. So I want you to read all this information. And as you can see, we've gotten some grants done, we've gotten some projects done, we're making some headway. Now, what we're here to talk about tonight is organizing volunteers in action to serve Ashland homeless. We've divided the areas up so that we're looking at 2 or 3 local communities together so that we all serve each other. I mean, your neighbors are the people you will serve, I would assume. You want to drive 40 miles to pick somebody up to go to Walmart or to the grocery store or to get their teeth cleaned or whatever. And we can, if you want to do it that way, we can do that. Basically, we don't think that's the way to go. So we're trying to, this is when we set up on really local area kind of situation. And again, going over to senior centers so that we all are getting the same job done. And so the grant that Paul is going to talk with you about is a grant that, one of the big grants we got was to be able to hire a mobility manager, which is Paul's official title. He has other titles other than that. I mean, he's doing a lot of other hats. Would you say that? Anyway, a mobility manager is a person who manages people's mobility. Very tough.
Thank you.
Anyway,
Thank you, Patsy, for that brief introduction.
I want you to look at this just as we're talking. If you want to talk later, we can talk about it later too. But now on Paul.
I want you to know that I'm a retired town manager, over 30 years, attending boards of selectmen's meetings, and my wife over breakfast jokingly just can't get away from those board of selectmen's meetings. But I want to say thank you to these 3 folks down front. They're very brave to put their hat in the ring and become selectmen. This is democracy in action. It's not perfect, but it's called democracy, and I'm very pleased to stand up and pledge allegiance to that flag and have a board of selectmen here in democracy in action here in Ashland. So thank you very much for your time. There's enough hot air in here, so I'm going to try to make this real brief. I'm going right over this handout, and if you don't have a handout, they're on that table right over there. But I'm just going to try to, as briefly as possible, tell you who, what, where, how Transport Central is supposed to work. We have a federal grant. It's an 80% federal dollars, 20% match from the Federal Transit Administration. Now, those folks in D.C. and those folks in Concord deal with airplanes, they deal with rail, they deal with private buses, they regulate a lot of the federal activity in those big, huge outfits spending millions of dollars. But somewhere in D.C. and somewhere in Concord was the wisdom, who best to transport, as Kathy said, neighbors need to transport neighbors. We have the senior citizen buses, the small buses, that do as best job as they can serving needs. But we have a grant to provide in 19 communities and our ability to recruit volunteer drivers at 55.5 cents per mile to transport seniors. And we're going to start to begin to serve these 19 communities. They stretch from Ashland to New Hampton to Alexandria up to Warren and clear up to Lincoln. So we're trying to put together 19 communities with a dispatching system, again a volunteer dispatching system, to dispatch drivers to your neighbors. And I'm really here tonight to attempt to get perhaps 3 or 5 or 8 drivers here in Ashland to take their private vehicles, and we're going to prioritize to doctor appointments and medical appointments. And even before we get on the floor, we have a question about transport to veteran services in Manchester or White River. So there is that need. We do have a board of directors. On the flip side, presently our board of directors are listed. We hope to have that limited to no more than perhaps 9 people. I don't want a mini town meeting when I have a board of directors, but we have, perhaps 5 or 7 or 9 people that are real workers and have some wisdom to bring to our organization, board of directors. We also hope to have a Transport Central Advisory Council, and that's a larger group, perhaps meeting quarterly or something. I hope to have 1 representative on the advisory council from each town, and I look to the Board of Selectmen to make a recommendation. Now, Andy Fitch is an Ashland resident. He's already given me a call. Andy is the director of Waterville Valley Transit Authority. He runs buses up in Waterville Valley. and he's offered to be your representative onto our advisory council or board of directors. So and I've had a call from Ann Lamson. Is Ann here? Oh, great. Okay. So Ann, if you want to see me, we do have a handout here, just a sign-up sheet. Any questions or comments? Sign up for volunteer drives. Your name, phone number, and email. I already have yours, Ian, but it's sort of repetitive for you. But I'd like to pass that around the group. And if you have any questions or comments or wish to talk to me further about becoming a volunteer driver, then please do. We've mentioned the 19 communities. When will this service begin? The last thing I want to do is offer a service and tell the world that we're going to be offering volunteer drivers and not perform. So I need July and August at least to get a cadre, a group of volunteer drivers, again 3 or 5 or 7 groups of individuals from Ashland, and you know, a couple of weeks from now we're over to Holderness, and 4 weeks from now we're over to Bristol, and as you can see we're trying to build this slowly up through the 19 communities so that we will be able to provide that service. When someone calls, they get a live voice and a dispatcher, and that dispatcher will link up that ride with a driver. And some of these, we went to a meeting in Concord last week, and some of those are doing this through email and even a Google service, so that the drivers can bid on, you know, I'd like to take Mrs. Smith down to Lakes Region General Hospital because I just did that last week, and so there's a relationship that develops, of course, and we will pay for that transport, and as you know, it's friends transporting friends. The individuals being transported must be mobile enough and healthy enough to come out their front door and get into a regular car and go. I will not be serving severely disabled and folks in wheelchairs. We don't have that equipment yet, and we rest upon others. There are veteran services, there are Easter Seals, and there are senior centers that have those handicapped accessible buses. So we're going to be providing rides in little old sedans and vans without any special equipment. Our rides will be provided to all citizens over age 60. So I turned 60 last June, so I qualify. You know.
And disabled.
Yeah, but also the disabled. And so we hope to serve those. And again, we're going to prioritize medical doctor's appointments in hospitals. But we can also do other things. And someone told me, you know, a trip into Walmart, the federal government's going to be paying for someone into Walmart. Well, what can you get up at that Walmart? You can get vision services, you can get prescription services, you can get basic food, and we have some folks that are very, very isolated in their homes, as you know. We have seniors, and a trip into Walmart is a big event, and to see Mrs. Smith and ride down to her doctor's appointment with her is the highlight of her week, perhaps. They're very isolated, some of these folks. So we're going to try to prioritize, again, doctors, hospitals, but we may be doing other things, too, that are eligible for those rides. I want you guys to know, all of you, and this is really, you should listen to this, the number of seniors over 60 in the next 10 years will double. And there has been discussions that we will not have enough nurses, we will not have enough buses, we will not have folks to handle my bedpan when I get to the nursing home. Because the demographics of those people, the 23-year-olds, the nurses' assistants, are just not going to be there for numbers. Again, age 60 and above is going to double. And I congratulate Ashland for being on the forefront in a sense of getting in on this, of having neighbors giving neighbors rides. That's really what's happening today. If we have a dire need, somehow Mrs. Smith gets down to the Lakes Region General Hospital, which she has to. But now the federal government is saying the cheapest way is to have friends in their own privately insured vehicles getting those transport services up there. So just think about 10 years from now, many of us are going to be over 60 or 70 or 80, and of course we have more and more people living to 80, 90, and 100. It seems like every week you're seeing someone that's just turned 100. They need transportation. That's what Transport Central is going to be about. This will probably, in my opinion, this will become the primary mode for seniors. It'll become an important component. It's brand new now. It's not just our 19 communities. This is nationwide. And so think about that, and if you want to become a volunteer driver or want some more further information for Patsy or I, please call us. There's a phone number, and right now I'm on Main Street at the Hemi Youth Center in Plymouth, and I'm there Monday through Thursday. I'm on a part-time basis right now, and I'm the only paid staff, so you're looking at Transport Center. Patsy is the executive director, and of course we have the board of directors coming in to help us on a monthly basis. Patsy, to a final comment?
Anyway, I hope you can call me at home, and I can talk about anything you want to talk about, your own personal situations, your family, the whole concept. We're always going to talk about the concept, because it is a new concept in this area. In other areas, it's not. And this is a nationwide project that's going on. It really started with the federal government in the Bush administration actually passed all this transportation process to get it started, and that has evolved into a lot of transportation for a lot of folks. And it's amazing how fast this grows. So now it looks like, there's not much going on. It's going to happen. So if there are any questions, now or later, even sign in and say just your questions, I'll give you a call.
Chairman has it.
Mr. Chairman.
I have a question. Many people, seniors, can't afford transportation. And from reading this, from what I understand is, you don't charge them anything. It's all paid for.
That is correct. We do not charge...
That's a grant requirement.
Yeah.
Now, you'll hear about other kinds of public transportation that's sort of the same kind of process that is paid for, a very low rate. But we're not going to do that now. We're looking at this as a volunteer project. If people want to make those contributions, we'd love anybody who wants to make this contribution may at all times.
So they can make a donation.
Yeah.
The elderly that want to make a donation.
Yes.
certainly can.
Sometimes they feel better.
Oh, yeah.
Pay a few dollars, and yes, we would accept that.
And it works for us.
But we do not require
I think
reimbursement.
that's wonderful.
We serve everyone over 60 and the disabled. There's a definition of disabled in our criteria. Other questions, and we'll conclude, but other questions? Again, please give us a call, and again, I want to thank you so much for your time. I know your busy agenda and you want to get home on this hot night. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick. That's all you have to do.
That's okay.
Okay. Old business, we need to talk about the jailhouse roof because we have to make a decision on that. It's the little building, for you that don't know, right by the town office. And what we're going to do is we're going to fix the roof on that. And the Historical Society has donated $2,000 so that the roof can be fixed. So what we need to do tonight is to decide who's going to make the decision, the selectmen or the Historical Society. My feeling is, if they're going to donate the money, then I feel they should be the ones that decide who they want to do the work. How do you feel, Dan?
I would think that would be logical. If they're going to give the money up, then they should decide who...
And Phil is stepping down from this decision because he's on the Historical Society and worked with them on this decision. So then I will make a motion that the Historical Society makes the decision as to who will do the work. All those in favor,
Let me just clarify something. So that the contractor will be working for the Historical Society, not the town.
Yes. Right, because the town is, the Historical Society is paying for it, so that's what I would think.
It's their money.
Right, so I don't think the town should make the decision. Okay, motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
And I abstain.
And I think I explained that.
No.
So then, you have the estimates, and...
Shall I meet with the president of the Historical Society at some stage?
Yeah, and I think probably he'll have to have a meeting, correct, David?
Well, out of the town hands.
Yes.
Right. Paul just wants to meet with David so that he can get him the information as to the, right, Paul?
Yes, correct.
Okay, police contracts, Chief Randall?
Chief is here.
I did a little checking around with some of the towns and their contracts, and find that there are some police departments in the area doing contracts. Plymouth didn't used to do them, but they do now because of the incidents they had on a hire that they had. They went to the academy and lasted one day and then quit. So he never even got to the academy, and they had all the time and energy in them. Chief LaFave was going to send me down a copy of the contract that they use. He said it's a very simple one. It's only a couple pages long. And once I get that, then I'll forward copies to the selectmen to look at. And it looks like we'll probably be heading down that road with some type of a contract.
What did these other towns recommend for the number of years?
Theirs is a 3-year. I think 3 years is a very common thing.
Question, this contract, do you have one in the file? We did have one.
I couldn't find one, Dan,
Okay.
but
That's fine.
in talking to the Plymouth chief, he said that this contract was actually one that Campton used, and at some point in time it got tested, and it was upheld. So I think that's because because it's been tested. I think it's a good thing for us to look at for some type of a standard. I just want to let everybody know that the last time that I was here and we talked about the contract and sending somebody to the academy, I don't think I was very clear about what it costs us to send somebody to the academy. The cost of the town is just basically their wages to go there. Their housing, their meals, and all that is covered by penalty assessment through traffic violations. So what the town loses out is actually the pay for the person to be there. So I just wanted to clarify that because I really wasn't clear. I don't think I'd expressed that.
Now, if they're there 24 hours, they're not, are they paid for 24 hours?
They're not paid for 24 hours. They're paid
8.
8-hour day.
Okay.
Jacob?
I'm just curious, how much would that roughly amount to?
Well,
Is it 6 weeks?
it's a 14-week
14.
academy, so there's 14 weeks of pay, and
Right.
depending on what you're going to pay the person. We have you get part-time academy, you get part-timers, you get full-timers. So
Don't invest it. They go and don't stay.
So then what we can do is, you're going to give us a copy of the contract?
absolutely, when I get that, and we can look at it and figure out, how the town of Ashland wants to handle.
And we can look it over and then
Yeah.
we can make a vote on it.
Yeah. And I think it's a thing where if they stay for a year and then they leave in their second year, then it's a prorated proportion of.
They have to pay it back.
Yeah. So, but we can work it out any way we want as far as that goes. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome.
Jim Blythe, the Town Beach?
Hello. Just want to give a brief report and rundown about the Ashland Town Beach. The Town Beach has been in full swing since the middle of June, and there have been a lot of things that have been occurring. We've had lifeguards on primarily Tuesday through Sunday. Sunday has been tough with having guards scheduled there because of their own personal schedules. With guards there 5 days a week, that has left Monday and Tuesday not being guarded. There's been a lot of trash accumulation. The visitors at the beach have experienced inappropriate language, roughhousing. There's been reports of drinking on the beach during the day. In fact, even today, there was vandalism that had taken place on the town raft. a lot of these things can be avoided with lifeguards there. But what a lot of people are not getting the grasp on is that the rules that we have posted at the town beach are there for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's not just when lifeguards are there. The rules are there for safety. One of the largest rules that we see being broken quite a bit or violated is flotation devices. Air mattresses, inflatable rafts, life vests. These have been shown in the past to actually give false security to poor swimmers, allowing them to go out into deeper water. Also, we've seen that parents who use these devices, now this is a general statement, they wind up sitting up on the beach and letting their young children go into the water unattended. It really makes for an unsafe situation, and a lot of beaches do not allow flotation devices at the beach. So the problems at the beach keep occurring when there are no guards on duty. Again, one of the biggest things is trash. People seem to forget that there are trash bins right over by the building to deposit their trash. In the mornings, the lifeguards, Wednesday through Saturday and on Sunday, one of their biggest components is getting the beach ready. And that includes emptying all the trash bins and getting them over to the dumpster. When the guards aren't there, the stuff isn't being done. But we've also found, and these have been reports from our guards, is that the guards are being harassed. They're being harassed by patrons, basically berating them about, well, why isn't the beach kept clean? Why aren't you out at the raft cleaning up all the bird manure? You need to be here to clean up this beach. It's not so much, the guards are there to help supply safety. The guards are the police force of the beach and water. They're there to make sure that there is, it's a safe family environment. And a lot has happened where that environment is being lost. There have been numerous complaints regarding the family friendliness of the beach being lost, being gone. And we need to find a way to get this back. We've noticed that the increased numbers of people, non-residents, utilizing the beach, the usage has gone up through the roof. One, there are no fees being charged for use of the beach. If we can find a way to rectify that, to help cover a cost for a gatekeeper, I'm looking for other suggestions as well. Parking is always an issue at the beach. Where the campground beach parking lot, on a hot day like today, it's packed. So when you have a lot of non-residents coming in, out-of-staters coming in, vacationers coming in, knowing that the beach is free, it makes for a very crowded, unsafe beach. There is a carrying capacity that each beach should try to maintain. And looking at some of the numbers that we've had at our beach, it's been crowded.
Jim, I'm trying to remember how we came up with not charging for it. It seems like you had a report that you gave us.
The reason that I remember for not was that our budget lines were reduced to a point where we didn't have gatekeepers. We originally had 4 lifeguards. We were down to 2 lifeguards, but we had no gatekeepers. And with no gatekeepers, there was no town employee there at the gate to collect the beach fees, which is the other reason why the snack shack was not going to be operational. And that is when Lakes Region stepped in for the opportunity to run the snack shack, which is working out pretty well. But the gatekeepers were in charge of collecting the beach fees, administering the beach rules. They would hand them out to people as they would come in. But they also ran the snack shack as well.
So that was because the budget was cut.
Yes, the budget was reduced to such a point where we had to cut those positions.
You want to take questions on this?
Yeah, I love their questions. I mean,
Hers isn't a question, she's one of the lifeguards.
Oh,
Well, what is the question? I'd like to know what the capacity of that beach is.
that's what I'd like to find out as well, too. We'd have to bring in the Red Cross to get the capacity for that size. And then it's going to be enforcing that capacity.
There's nothing that we could, there's nothing that we have on record or anything?
No, it's a capacity similar to that of a pool.
I have a suggestion.
Please.
Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
The suggestion is that we find some money and bring back 2 more lifeguards and gatekeepers so they can charge a daily fee for not so much residents, but people that, and the seasonal taxpayers. I don't mean to charge them or the taxpayers in New Hampshire or Ashland, but I mean the daily people that come in there. We can charge them with gatekeepers, and the gatekeepers won't have to do anything in the concession booth. They can be out sort of looking around and enforcing the
Rules of the
rules
beach.
as well as...
While the guards are
Yeah.
watching the water.
Or
Or?
it seems to me that a lot of the complaints are coming in is the raft. There's a lot of horseplay and there's a lot of things going on that shouldn't go on in the raft. Now either we find the money somewhere, which I think we can because of the campground. We went up on the prices of the campground, and that's a win-win situation, and that goes right into the general fund. And why can't I go into the beach and hire these 2 lifeguards back and the gatekeepers?
Well,
Or take the raft out completely.
and that is an option there. Without the raft, you remove the majority of the behavioral problems at the beach. However, I remember when I took the raft out the one season for doing the water testing, which was a legitimate reason for pulling the raft out, water quality testing and the controlled experiment. We were looking at the amount of bird feces as to the spike level of E. coli that we were experiencing, and the only control factor I had was the raft. It proved that there was no correlation between the two, so the raft went back. But with lifeguards on duty, the horseplay at the raft does not come into play until the guards leave, which has been at 4 o'clock. And historically, that has been the way the beach is operated. After the guards left at 4, now, even though the rules are still, they're still in effect. It's similar to the traffic laws. Like on 93, the posted speed limit is 65, but people still drive 75, 80, and they do that on a regular basis. And if a police officer pulls them over, yes, they're breaking the law. The same thing at the town beach. I mean, if people are there with a inflatable raft, or they're there using inappropriate language. If a guard is there, or I'm there, or a police officer is there, and we see them, we talk to them about it, they get caught. But it comes down to how these rules are being enforced.
I just want to say, we'll do public comments and concerns at the end. I have 2 questions. One is, if they're not behaving and they're doing things that, against the rules, are we enforcing them? Are we kicking them off the beach for a while?
When the guards are there, the guards are enforcing the rules.
Are they kicking them off?
I would refer to my guards.
Are they kicking them off if they're not behaving? Are they kicking them off the beach? Okay, for so
On a daily
many,
basis.
for so many days?
Yes.
Okay. The harassment that you said some of the people are giving you, some of the people that are there on a regular basis.
We don't want to go into this because I'm working in a hostile environment, and that's why I'm here.
But let me
Defend
tell you
myself.
something, okay? If they're not any different than kids that are not behaving, if they're harassing you, then they need to leave.
You made it free. Everybody's there. Unless they call the cops and say,
We made it,
Person needs to leave.
we had no choice. We are not in charge of the budget committee is. The budget was cut. When the budget is cut, there is nothing we can do. If we don't have the money, there's nothing we can do.
and everybody in this room needs to come to the beach tomorrow and see exactly what happened.
I mean, I don't know what to tell you, the budget was cut.
Well, the budget will cut it to be, in all fairness to the budget committee, didn't you appear before the selectmen, reference the budget before you went to the budget committee?
I followed the procedures that were set forth. I submitted my budget to the town administrator. Town administrator made his recommendations. The Board of Selectmen made their recommendations, and then the budget committee made their recommendations.
I think we may have made some reduction in the budget. The selectmen. So it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But anyway, my suggestion is we find the money, and I don't know why we can't find it out of our general fund because of that campground situation. It went up on their fees. It's full, and the money's coming in, and that's profit, and that's part of the beach. It's part of Ashland Beach. The campground is, believe it or not, is part of Ashland Beach, right?
Right. The beach and campground, they are the Edward and Doggett
So
beach and campground.
that's always been a family beach ever since I was a kid, and that was a few years ago. And all of a sudden now, because of the lack of security and gatekeepers and guards, they're raising holy heck over there. So I think, my personal opinion is, and I don't know what the other two selectmen, they have their opinion, is we bring back the guards, bring back the gatekeeper, and enforce it, and kick these people out that are harassing the guards and are just not behaving. Kick them out. That's what they used to do.
The problem is the money from the beach is revenue. It is not anywhere in anybody's budget to use.
There is no revenue coming from the beach this year.
No, I don't mean beach, I mean the campground.
Hey,
That is not in the budget at all. That's revenue, but you can't take it out of the budget if it's not in any budget, even though that money is revenue. So there's no...
I'm not talking about taking it out of the budget because it's not in the budget. I'm talking about, we talked about, on a meeting before, we talked about the fire station. We talked about taking some money out of the general fund to fix the fire station roof. Why can't we take some money out of the general fund and fix the situation over the Ashland Beach? You're shaking your head no. Why?
He was taking it out of his budget to help with the roof.
Not entirely. He was taking some out of the budget. He was
Right.
taking, and we were going to look into taking some out of the general fund. Am I right, Mr. Bassam?
But it has...
We are looking at a revenue source other than
the
fire staff,
yes.
other than the fire chief's budget, and one of them is the surplus that we
That
have.
is not
Right,
for
that's totally
operating,
different.
that is not for operating expenses, and it's quite a...
It's totally different.
I have one question for Jim. Maybe it's not possible to make a comparison because of the difference in the weather, but how does the use of the beach without fees compare last year when there were fees? Any idea of what the capacity
The amount of traffic during the day without the lifeguards there, it has increased exponentially.
I'm talking about being charged, people paying money to go there.
Well, there's increased beach usage without charging fees. When we were charging our daily use fees or seasonal fees, the beach was not as crowded during the day as it is this year. Most of the patrons waited until after 4 o'clock, and that's when they would show up because the guards and gatekeepers would leave for the day. Now, one of the aspects of having the beach open also implies having the bathrooms, water and electricity available to people at the beach. In fact, this morning when I went over to the beach, I had noticed that one of the doors had very distinct sand-covered footprints on the door trying to get in.
Locked at night?
It's locked at night. When the guards leave, the beach is closed. People can swim at their own risk. That means the bathroom facilities are also closed. If we leave the bathroom facilities open after hours, we're increasing vandalism opportunities, and we're also still paying for the water and electricity and paper products that are being used within those bathrooms.
I want to explain 2 things as a town. One is when we voted to find money for the fire station roof. What that money is not general fund money. That is the money that was left, the surplus money from 2 or 3 years that we had that we have not used. You can't use that for just anything. You can use it to lower taxes, or if the DRA approves it, you can use it to, in case of an emergency, which the fire station roof is an emergency. So that's why I was trying to explain, you just can't take money, take the revenue if it's not in the budget. The other thing that I would like to say is, when I mentioned about the budget committee cutting the budget, and there was a lot of R's, kind of like negative, I didn't mean that negative. The budget committee has a difficult job, and they have to do what they feel is best. And every year it's tougher. Every year is tougher because the taxes are high, the money's not there, you have to make those decisions. And I didn't mean that badly. The budget committee made the decision that they felt was the best decision to make with that budget. I didn't mean that negative or anything. It's difficult for the budget committee, there's a lot for them to do, they have a lot of meetings, so I did want to say that and explain that out to everybody that kind of went, but this is a difficult thing, and it's a difficult decision for the selectmen.
May I say something? You say the general fund, you can't use it for anything else. You say money from 2 or 3 years ago in the general fund you could use, like for the fire roof. Money from 2 days ago, if everything is above board financially in the town of Ashland, you can use it because it's in general fund, if you get permission from the DRA. That's my opinion of it.
I'm just trying to think, I gather that in the past years you've had lifeguards and gatekeepers there at the same time, they all leave at the same time.
That is correct.
And it sounds as though what you need to have is gatekeepers till sunset. Is that
that could easily work.
Jim, can we cut something else in your budget? Can you cut something else so that you don't go over the bottom line, and maybe we can hire the...
I'll have to take a look to see what we can do as far as making some of those cuts within the beach budget, so I don't go over my bottom line. And I do understand it is a bottom line budget.
Because maybe you could find it as long as you don't go over the bottom line.
One of the other options that was not expressed forward, put up front, was the fact that we're just about a little over halfway through our beach season. One of the options that I was working with the lifeguards is that we're looking to change our lifeguarding schedule so that it's Monday, Wednesday through Saturday, so that we don't have 2 days in a row without guards there, which, one, it makes cleanup a lot easier, two, it does make it easier to manage the stuff that needs to be done there. But the aspect that we're a little over halfway done with the season is If we continue operating as best as we can to finish out the season, we use this as a transition, and then when we start the budget process, we keep this in mind when we develop the budget for next year, we know that when I put in for my salary budget line, this is a reason. But this way, we still operate within the budget that we have now, modify it as best we can, because the season ends mid-August.
So you've only got really 4 weeks?
Just about.
Have you
Yeah.
ever charged for parking?
No, it's very difficult to charge for parking because the parking is also the parking lot for the campground as well.
Don't they park at their site?
Right, but if they have visitors, if they have guests, each campground only has a limited spot for vehicles, so they would be parking there as well. Then my question is, where are they getting their parking permits,
From the gatekeeper.
and who's enforcing?
Yeah.
Well, getting over...
We want to charge for parking, we want to charge for this, we want to charge for that. But we don't want to put guards on, and we don't want to put gatekeepers on. That's ludicrous. You know, because what's going to happen now, if you modify it a little bit, these little rascals know who's on, who isn't. And they're going to raise holy dickens over there, by my expression. And they're going to continue to do this, and they're going to continue to raise heck, and somebody gets hurt, and what happens? The town of Ashland gets sued.
Even though it is posted when no guards are on duty, swim at your own risk.
I don't care if it's
I know, but I'm
neon signs. The town of Ashland is
I know.
still going to get sued. So
And
either we do nothing or we do something.
Right.
Either you, I don't care for Band-Aid things.
No,
Either you
I
fix
agree.
it right, or don't do it at all. Or take the raft out.
And the question that I would have there is that once the beach season ends, mid-August, you still have 1 or 2 weeks before school starts up again. And the raft usually stays in till Labor Day weekend. We can bring the raft in early.
Well, if nobody wants to do anything about it, we can bring the raft in now.
Yeah.
And we'd have to vote on it,
But I'm
that would alleviate some of your problems with the kids out there. I've driven by and seen kids pushing each other off, and one little girl was standing on the stairs, ready to dive off, and they were just having a great old time.
As I was out there this morning, taking pictures of the broken board that had happened this morning, and yes, I witnessed kids jumping off into the deep water outside of the swim lanes, horseplay going on, and yes, I do say something. As soon as I brought the boat back around to River Edge Marina, I looked back out, and there they are again.
I'm guessing that most of our neighboring towns that have beaches have a beach permit sticker on the car.
They have beach passes, that is correct. And most of the other beaches in the area are for residents only. Closest one, Holderness, it's residents only. And they have to go to the town office to get their beach permit. They have to carry the beach permit with them to the beach, and their attendant there has a list of all the residents in the town, and they check to make sure that they are a resident of the town. Now, one of the aspects that we've seen over the weeks is that parents will come by, drop their kids off at the beach, and go away, leaving the kids there, and the guards, voila, they become babysitters, which they're not supposed to be. They're there to ensure that the people are safe.
Wasn't there a sign or something sent out saying they had to be, 14 years of age?
It's posted right on the rules going into the facility.
Well, there's a sign on 93 that says 65 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If the trooper's not around, they go 70, 75,
And
80. So this is the same.
this is the same scenario. I mean, that's why with the rules that we're handing out at the beach, Beach rules are in effect 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're there for the safety of the community. They're not there to make people feel bad. They're not there to give people a hard time or to say, this is going to ruin your day. It's there to ensure that they have a good time and that they're safe. Safety is a #1 concern that I have at the beach. Because again, all it takes is one accident. But we want people to be safe. We want the guards to be in an environment that they're not being harassed. They're not being threatened. We want people to enjoy the beach.
Maybe we should definitely then seriously consider residents only with a sign and whatever else ID, license, If they have to get them at the town office, they'd have to have them anyway.
And I would make the recommendation, if you're doing residents only, residential and taxpayers. We have a huge portion of this community that are residential taxpayers, and you also have business owners that are taxpayers. And I know we received a lot of questions about that last year when we had our beach fees. But we should look at the aspect of residential and taxpayers, because they're all contributing to the town of Ashland.
The email that Paul sent you talks about empty alcohol containers brought in McDonald's bags, cigarette butts, trash galore. Is that
Rule number 8.
Is that more? Is that been a greater problem this year than last?
Angeline?
I'm going to try to make it through this meeting,
Okay.
but you guys don't have the correct answers because you're not there. And yes, so we have triple the number of people that we had before. We have more drinking and more smoking. And you made this wonderful ordinance, but there's no one there to enforce it. And when I say please don't smoke, they just go, that's nice.
So the answer is yes. It's much more aggravated than
But there is a solution.
which is.
The people were actually upset that they didn't have to pay. Yes, the residents would like to pay, yes, less, but the non-residents were upset they didn't have to pay either. That's not the answer. You need to charge something. Because you're not making any money, and you're making it worse.
But the reason we didn't charge anything because we didn't have anybody there to collect it.
Why can't they go to the town hall? Everybody gets the same beach pass. It's 25 or 35 or whatever you think the number should be, everybody gets a beach pass. If you're here for the week, you still get a beach pass. It's good for 4 people or 5 people or whatever you think the family is. Everybody needs to have a pass. If you're here for a week, a month, a year, you need to have a pass.
I don't think there's any alternative.
Well, you can. Like locking the barn door at the horses gone. If you do it now,
If you do it now, you get a chance of getting the beach back to a family environment.
You mean if you do all these things that the little girl suggested?
I'm there every day. I see what's happening.
I'm not doubting what you're there every day, and I'm not doubting what you see, and I'm not doubting what's happening. I'm trying to help you. So what I'm saying is that if you start now, is it going to do any good?
I think it will.
If you start, charging.
You have to put a notice up there stating that if we put up a notice up tomorrow, starting Sunday, they're being charged to use the beach. It gives the general populace notice. This way it can't say, well, you can't do that right away. Notice has been given and fees can be charged. If we go to the beach pass system up at the town office, they come to the town office, pick up their beach pass, they bring it down to the beach. The list of beach passes gets brought down to the beach, and if we have a gatekeeper, they have a list ready to go. We've had the beach pass system in place for years.
We've got all the prices anyway. We've got the charge.
All we have to do is peel off the tape.
Have you got the passes?
We can make those in a matter of a few hours.
How easy would it be to hire people?
That's going to be the hard part, is finding somebody at this late in the season. I'll have to ask. There are a few people I know of that are still looking for jobs.
How long would you keep the gatekeepers there?
How long do you want them there? If you want to say keep them there till sunset,
I'd say sunset, I don't know.
I mean,
We're going to have to have someone there to check to see that they have the pass.
exactly. Historically, we've had the gatekeepers there when the guards were there. But if you're going to maintain the atmosphere of a family-friendly atmosphere, even if guards are not there, the beach passes are still being accepted, because the beach fees, the pass fees are going to pay for the electricity, water, and paper supplies that are being used in the bathrooms. Bathrooms can then be open during the day as well.
What time do the lifeguards leave?
Guards get there around 10,
No,
beach
what time
open
do they leave?
4.
They leave at 4.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we just shut the beach down at 4 and let no one in?
There you go.
How can you do that?
There you go.
We
Come
can't.
on. Can't
They-
because the camp crazy.
Not because of the campground, because there are numerous ways of getting onto the beach. They wind up going through the main gate, they go over the fence, they go around by the covered bridge, and come onto the beach that way.
I don't care if they parachute in, as long as that, you know, the beach closes at 4 o'clock.
Yep.
Anyone caught on the beach after 4 o'clock will either be summoned or will be kicked off for the season or something like anyone caught.
Donated it?
Now, that's giving a little bit of a deterrent there.
You better get the old jail roof fixed there.
Well, I don't care whether they get the old jail.
One of the things I would also, which was
Get a solution
mentioned,
here.
one of the things that was mentioned, which we looked at in the past, but it's worth a revisit, is taking a look at the original agreement with the Doggett family.
I think it says this Lee's Beach.
I know one of the stipulations from that deed was that town residents 18 and younger get in free.
Right.
So it may be worth taking a look at that document again to see what other stipulations are right in there. But
Well,
even
I'm come up with a solution.
that is, I like the solution of charging, and even if the gatekeeper is there until sunset, we still have to cover that salary base. But even if it's till 4 o'clock, which is the way the beach used to run, gatekeepers and lifeguards from 10 to 4, it gets it back into during the day is family time, and in the evenings it again returns to you swim at your own risk. I mean, I would be more inclined to look at that option to finish out the season.
Well, the young people don't care if you swim it, they swim at their own risk or not. They go in there to swim to raise heck. And basically, 9 out of 10 people that go in after 4 o'clock are youth, don't you think? Or is it families?
I see a lot of families going in.
There's a lot of families who
A lot of families go in, a lot of people who, like working at Frudenberg, they get done with their shift, they want to go in for a quick dip. I know several people are doing construction work, they come in and they jump in the lake, and then they go out.
Are these families raising heck?
The families are not raising heck, but there are, well, maybe with their own kids.
Teenagers like you used to be.
What we need to do is we need to come, figure this out, because for one thing, I think we want to go forward with the permits and do that. We also have to figure out if you can cut something out so that we can do gatekeeping.
I will take a look at that tomorrow during
And we
the
can
day.
hold an emergency meeting to do that, to figure something out, to vote on, because we can't really vote on it till we find out if we can get a gatekeeper.
I can try to have a plan, looking at my budget lines, I can try to have a plan ready by the end of tomorrow, to at least take a look and see where we can work with.
Well, your budget's pretty slim anyway.
It is pretty slim, but there are some encumbered
You're gonna
amounts.
find the money.
We can be creative.
As you quite correctly said earlier, you have to make a vote for Jim to change the days of the week.
Of the week.
Yeah.
right, because we voted to, the selectmen had voted to have the
Wednesday through
lifeguard
Sunday.
Wednesday through Sunday.
I would like
So
to-
what we have to do tonight, if you want to change the days, we have to vote on that tonight.
I would like that if possible.
So the recommendation is to have it Monday,
Monday?
close Sunday, close Sunday, have it Monday, close Tuesday, have it open Wednesday through Saturday.
That is
Closed?
correct.
Closed?
No
No
lifeguard.
lifeguard.
No lifeguard.
No lifeguard.
Where is the deed? Is that readily
Yes, it is.
available?
Yes, it is. And I believe it says beach.
That's an important,
For
that was an important point, what the deed says. and-
Yes. Which is why the fee structure at the beach was set up in such a manner, the way it has been.
Well, let's vote on this so that we can get that straightened out, so that the lifeguards can go in on Monday and then Wednesday through Saturday. Because your feeling is that with no lifeguards on for 2 days, there's more mischief and more things going on.
That is correct.
Okay.
Well, I'll make that motion.
Okay, Phil made the motion to have it closed on Sundays.
no lifeguards.
No lifeguards on Sundays and Tuesdays, and have them work on Monday and Wednesday through Saturday. So Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'll second that motion. Do you have that, Pat? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And you're gonna put something on paper?
I'm gonna take a look tomorrow at my budget to see where I can make some adjustments where at least we can get a gatekeeper.
Jim, could you just hang around until the public comments? Because I think some of the people have some comments.
Yes, I will.
Thank you. New business?
Pat just asked whether you voted.
We did vote.
Dan voted.
Dan did not vote.
I didn't vote. I didn't vote. She asked anyone voted nay, I voted nay.
Thank you.
Okay, new business? Paul? So,
No.
Dan?
No?
Pat, do you have anything?
We're meeting on the 19th with McCormick.
Yes, Thursday.
Is there a time?
The 19th.
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
Town administrators report?
Before I read my report, I'd just like to acknowledge our cameraman this evening, Mr. Wallace Stewart, who is the original founder of the Penny Baker Community Access Media, now known, of course, as PB Cam. So thank you, Mr. Stewart, for being here this evening. We really appreciate that. At long last, I can report on the status of the fire station roof. There is to be a mandatory walkthrough for all the bidders, of which there are 6, scheduled for Monday, August the 6th at 8:30 a.m. The timing is good as the fire chief will have returned from his holiday. The bid proposal deadline is 12 noon on Monday, August the 20th, and the sealed bids will be opened that evening at the Board of Selectmen's meeting. It is then incumbent upon the Selectmen to announce the source from which the funds will be taken to pay for the new roof. If it is from surplus, then the majority of both the Selectmen and members of the Budget Committee must approve this before sending the Emergency Expenditure Revenue Source form to the DRA. Since Wednesday of last week, I have fielded numerous calls and emails from irate residents over the loss of Channel 9 WMUR. Time Warner have taken this off of their programming. I have responded to all residents by sharing with them the press release from Time Warner Cable regarding this program dispute. Time Warner Cable stand ready to continue negotiations with Hearst TV, which is the parent company of WMUR. I'd just like to read something from our attorney that's handling the renewal negotiations for a 10-year-old Adelphia contract, which are now, of course, is with Time Warner Cable. We share in this consortium with the towns of Plymouth, Holderness and PSU. The attorney says, I expect this will be a temporary blackout, but whether that means 1 week or a month is more impossible to know. If it goes on indefinitely, Time Warner Cable will see the loss of many New Hampshire customers, and it will have an impact on renewals of franchises. It's very important for us here in Ashland, as it is for other towns, because Channel 9 is really only a news station with school closings and also events, weather events and such like. On June the 18th, this coming Wednesday, Sarah Patterson, a dietitian at PSU and one of the ad hoc committee members of the Ashland Heal program, will be giving a talk at PSU from midday to 1 o'clock on creating a healthy workplace. It is not too late to sign up, and if anyone's interested, they should call 536-1001. Also on the 18th, the Chairman of the Board of Selectmen has called for the first Capital Improvement Programme committee meeting to be held at the Town Office at 7 p.m. This committee consists of Budget Committee Chair Steve Felton, Planning Board Vice Chair Jennifer Ogden, Budget Committee Member David Toth, Select Board Chair Jeanette Stewart and Town Administrator Paul Branscombe. On July 19th, the Board of Selectmen are meeting with Mike McCormack of McCormack Facilities Management to discuss the results of the energy audit conducted in 2010 and prioritise needs and funding. On July 20th, the Town Administrator is hosting an Economic Development Strategy meeting at the fire station for state and local officials. This will be the start of the Economic Development Roundtable that Senator Jeannie Forrester had proposed earlier in the year. The Senator has pledged to focus on economic development opportunities if she is elected to a second term. On July 27th, the Ashland Revitalisation Alliance is holding a meeting with representatives from the New Hampshire Traffic Bureau and the Lakes Region Planning Commission to discuss the analysis and recommendations by the folks from Plan New Hampshire regarding alternative traffic patterns at the junctions of routes 132 and 3 and 25. The four intersections with Route 3 are close to one another, causing potential for confusion, and the goal here is to mitigate traffic safety concerns. On July 28th and 29th, the Greater Plymouth Public Health Network is sponsoring a Community Emergency Response Team, a CERT class here in Ashland, at the Ashland Fire Station. The two-day course from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. each day is free of charge. Ashland has already 4 CERT residents and is looking to build a strong team for the future. The Town Administrator did send out an infoblast with full details of how to register. There have been some additional news, Madam Chairman, since the report was filed. I'd publicly like to thank James Ogden of Ogden Construction for such a fine job on the Booster Club. He's kept the integrity and appearance of the Booster Club in absolutely the best terms possible. Tomorrow, Kathy Shields from the Community Development Finance Authority is meeting with the Town Administrator and is taking a ride around Ashland looking at future economic development situations where some money can become available. It's common knowledge, I think, now that the HEAL Steering Committee has written to Mrs. Michelle Obama, and we've discovered that Mrs. Obama will be in the New Hampshire area on August the 2nd, and we believe visiting Plymouth State University at a nutrition conference. So we've urged her handlers in Washington DC, please to give us at least 30 minutes of her time so she can come meet with the HEAL folks here in Ashland. The HEAL walk on Sunday was brilliant. There were 18 adults and 1 dog, and I think we posted that on our website for all to see. So we're hoping for a bigger turnout next Sunday. There is a correction in your agenda for this evening here. The next meeting is to be held on August the 6th, not August the 20th. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Paul. Okay, select board items, we need to vote on going forward with the bond issue so that Linda can continue with that. It's not voting to actually do the bond, but it's just voting to go forward with it.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
And I would like to put down in the minutes, please, Madam Chairman, that we're going to hold the confirmatory public hearing on the 26th.
Okay, at 6:30. Please.
On 6:30. What do we got here? Oh, this is the bond, right?
That's the bond. That's just so that Linda can go forward with it, so the treasurer can continue with the bond. Are there any other select board items?
We have a vendor permit here for Rock the Park on July 28th. If the three of you would kindly sign that.
Do we have any others that have come in? Because he said that there's going to be quite a few.
Not yet.
When are we taking up the townwide direction?
After this one.
That's because that's a vendor permit, because Jeff McDonald is the one that did the special events. But this is a vendor permit because there will be vendors there at his event.
If you remember, when you looked at the AP, you'll see that there was a refund for this, Mr. Long, and that's the abatement, which was originally denied, but after the assessor reviewed it, he granted it.
As Paul said, this was an abatement that was denied at first, then the assessor went back out and he granted it. It's for, is it Orlick? Richard and Pamela Orlick? 94, oh, that's the New York address. The lot number, tax map lot number is 017-012-010. Their address where they live in Ashland is not on here. The adjusted value, it was originally $205,850. The adjusted value is $125,050, and the difference is $80,800. And he recommends the adjustment of the building value after inspection because the taxpayer purchased property in 2011 for $59,500 from a bank after foreclosure, which is not indicative of market value. After viewing, I adjusted the sketch for more crawl area and unfinished attic. Heating and plumbing are not functional in that unit, and the other unit needed some upgrading but is now rented. The right side unit will require extensive work to be rentable, and both units have outdated kitchens and baths as well as asbestos siding. I'll make a motion to grant the abatement for tax lot number 017-012-010 for $80,800. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I just think about this, but I read the description every time that we have an abatement. But a couple people said, you know, you shouldn't read that abatement because it's on TV, people listening. My feeling is everyone has a right to know. Everyone has a right to know why this abatement was given and what the description is. So, you know, I know it takes a little bit of time, and I just hope everybody understands why I do that, because I just feel you should know. Must want it to sign it again anyway. Okay, so let's put 16th, right?
16th.
two more, Madam Chairman, under selected items. One is townwide yard sale. I think the board needs to decide whether a special permit, special applications, is applicable to the townwide yard sale, or is it not? Is it a grandfathered situation that we don't have to, because it's...
If one has an individual yard sale, what do we do?
We ask the individual to notify the town office on the day that the yard sale is going to be held, but we don't charge.
This is how I feel. We started the special events permit this year. The 4th of July committee never has a vendor permit or a special event. I don't feel that the community, what's it called? What's the whole name of, what's the name of the group? Community
Council of Ashland.
Community Council of Ashland. I don't feel the Community Council, 4th of July committee, I don't feel committees that their money is going for the town. I don't think they should have to pay $50 for a special events calendar. The 4th of July committee, theirs goes for the parade, it goes for the fireworks. The community council goes for, there's food, there's helping other people, is that right?
Mostly it's Christmas time. One event supports the other.
And the other events, okay. But it all goes for people in Ashland. It isn't something that, it isn't like a special event that's going to a special organization or that's going to special people or something. I mean, it's for the people in Ashland, and so is the 4th of July committee. So my feeling is, if we're going to have a vendor's permit, then we have to decide what a vendor is and what a special events person is. But when it comes to doing things for Ashland, I don't think they should have to pay. But that's my own opinion.
Well, I agree with you for a different reason. I think that the fact that the yard sale is held on private property in almost every instance.
But they use Memorial Park.
They don't have to. They could just as easily use the community center.
Well, they could, but I mean they do, and I don't see any reason why they can't. I mean, nobody complains.
But it seems to me that's if there's a fee to use for community, for the Memorial Park, that's an issue for the Memorial Park trustees, not us.
Right.
That's my thought. I'd say no, Karen, but what do you think?
I would
Dan?
say no too, sorry.
We didn't have passed.
Consensus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get that, Dave? It's a consensus of the board not to have the community council have to apply for the special events or the 4th of July or whatever others. Any others?
Yeah, the last one, Madam Chairman, is the CIP committee members. As you know, we've read them out tonight. There are 5. Do you want to impose term limits? There have been some suggestions. 2 members at 3 years, 2 at 2 years, and 1 at 1 year. Now, I know these are appointed by the Board of Selectmen and are not elected like the Budget Committee, but...
I think what we should do maybe this year, because it's new, my feeling is just to have it for 1 year. I think it's also, I think the CIP committee should decide, that too, or at least have an input to that, because the CIP committee is the ones that are going to be doing the work and the ones that are going to be attending the meetings, so.
Is that a consensus?
No, that's not consensus to me.
It's kind of kicking the can down the road.
Yeah, I think that the board should decide, the select board should decide if it's going to be 1 year, 2 year, 3 year terms.
But I don't think we should decide it tonight, because the people that are on it don't know.
And we don't have to decide it tonight, we can table it.
There are 5 members.
Yeah.
Right.
So far. Yeah, so far. Yeah, I agree, Dan, we don't need to decide it tonight, but It is a decision that has to be made.
It is a decision that has to be made, but I think the people that are on the committee should at least know if you're, if you're saying, oh, well, your term's going to be 3 years, well, they need to know that. They might not want to be on 3 years.
Then we can tell them if they don't want to be on it, then they don't want to be on it, then we'll put it out for somebody else to be on it, and if they say, we'll nominate them, and we'll vote on it, and then we'll have another person on the committee.
You're meeting on the 18th?
Yes,
Well, one of the things you could ask is,
bring that up.
yeah,
Yeah.
you want it to be 2 years,
Right.
maybe 3 years, 5 years, life sentence, huh?
Yeah, and then that way, at least they know about it, and they can,
Right, but it's worth settling. I mean, why not deal with it now? Or this year, I should say.
Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so we're going to do that at the next meeting? Okay. Public comments and concerns? Cheryl, I saw her hand first. Okay, Ann?
I have two different separate things. I just want to let you know the Gut Lunch program is going wonderful. We've had a couple of glitches, but it's going great. We've had quite a few people from Holderness helping us, New Hampton, and it's just been, the input's been very, very good. So, but my other thing is, Friday I was at the beach. I got there at exactly 20 minutes of 1. I stayed till 3 o'clock. I'm not impressed. I saw one lifeguard on duty until about 10 past 1. Now, could have been the other one. I saw you later, but I did not see you up where the other one's at. And I spoke twice to kids on the raft. I could see what they were doing. Two of them just kept itching my grandson to force him off the raft. He kept trying to hold back. He's 9 years old. And I finally said something. I mean, he can swim as long as he doesn't panic. But I spoke, and then the other time, they were blocking the steps. I finally hollered at them because the lifeguard said nothing. Then there was another incident with kids right in front of the lifeguards throwing rocks. And it was after I said something about them throwing the rocks that the lifeguard finally said something. And that's just what I saw, and that's...
But there are 2 lifeguards there, right? Yeah. Cheryl, do you have something?
I just, I've lived in this town for a while, almost 5 years, honey, and I've been to the beach once. It's not user-friendly. The wall is hideous. The sand is awful. And, I know that there's nothing that, whatever, but you know what? And this is only, I'm not going to go into what I've heard has happened above and beyond what I've seen myself. I was there with my niece and nephew. I'm not one that agrees that you can't have flotation devices because myself, I am a responsible adult. If I have a child there with me, that kid's going to be with me. It is completely the responsibility of the adult. And, a false sense of security, that's how kids learn how to swim, is with flotation devices. That's how kids, well, it's not the only way, but it's how I taught my kid how to swim. It's not a family-friendly environment at all.
The problem is, Cheryl, you are a responsible adult.
Yep.
There are other adults that don't even watch their children. And what happens is they put the flotation on them and let them go. And then we have the responsibility.
But you have a wall. So if I'm sitting even 2 feet away from you, you can't see. There's a wall that separates anyone from any child that is in that water. And if you are sitting even 2 feet away from that wall and there's a kid right on the other side of it, you can't see them.
I haven't been over there recently, but aren't they supposed to be on this side of the wall? Is that the wall we're talking about?
No.
It's the main wall. It's
Are they supposed to be on
Perch
this
Beach.
side?
No.
Who?
Is that the wall you're talking about?
No.
The wall that separates the water from the sand.
Yeah. It's
the restraining
instead of a
wall.
beach going down like this gradually, it's the wall.
Okay, I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about. Okay. Jen, you had your hand up. You wanted to say something.
I just want to say, I was there all day Friday myself, and one thing that, and I like you a lot, don't get me wrong, but the lifeguard did say something, and those kids, no, there was one point, because I was sitting there and I saw that kid on the ladder, my daughter was hanging on the raft for about 10 minutes, and I'm like, let her up, let her up. Those kids have no regard, and yes.
Why does the
should they-
lifeguard go out there?
Earlier?
Please let Jen finish.
He went out earlier to go stand on the raft, but he can't be out there all the time because there's people on the beach. They're not just responsible for what's on the water, they're responsible for over at the volleyball court and the sand and the picnic tables. And if something were to happen, they can't be in 50 million places at once. But I was there, and the lifeguard did say something to the kids with the rocks. And you know what the kids said? Why? Flat out, why?
But if they throw them out, why didn't they put the kid out?
They weren't throwing them out at that point. They were about to throw them out, and I was sitting right there, Ann, the whole time.
I know you were.
And I was there, and my eyes were on my kids, yes.
Yeah.
I'm one of those responsible parents.
Right.
But you know what? The lifeguard does everything they can. When they're blowing that whistle so hard they're turning red in the face, does that say anything to you? Yes. There is no respect whatsoever for anybody on that beach, including the lifeguards severely. And I hate to sound like a jerk, but I am so ticked at the way people bash that beach and bash those lifeguards because they're putting their own family time on that beach, and they're getting hell for it. And it just infuriates me, and this year I'm there every day right now because my kids are in swimming lessons, and if it weren't for her, my kids would probably be drowning down there. Because nobody cares. I'm there, I'm doing everything I can for my kids. But Friday, I was there, I saw every single thing that happened, and yes, I understand people need to have respect, but when you're another person that nobody knows on the beach, they're not going to listen to you. It's not going to happen. And it didn't happen Friday, because I saw you stand up and call your grandson, but I didn't see you say anything to anyone else. I saw them say stuff, both of them. One's over here on this side trying to watch the raft as much as he possibly can, because there are 15, 20 kids on that raft. And she's watching the other half of the beach where all the little kids are with their babysitters who have 5 kids they can't keep control of. It's a tough situation, but we shouldn't be bashing the people that are there trying to help us out. It doesn't make sense to me.
Thank you, Jen. Cheryl?
My tax-paying money pays for a lifeguard to be there, whether it's her or whether it's someone else. And if she's doing a good job by training your kids how to swim, good for her. But you know what? In order to get respect, you need to give it.
I understand that. I do understand that.
Ann?
I just say, if there's 2 lifeguards and there's a commotion on the raft, I don't understand why one can't be on the raft looking in.
They cannot be on the raft all the time.
And no kidding. But if they're horse racing, then if the lifeguard shows up and then they're not, pull those kids off the raft.
I think what happens sometimes, too, we go over there and run too quick to judge.
I understood, but I stayed there for quite a few hours.
Anyone else has anything to say? Jane?
Yeah, I've just got to say one thing. I was there on a Tuesday with my grandchildren and my daughter-in-law. There were probably about 30 people on the beach. Everyone was behaving. There was no issue. There were kids out on the raft. We saw no issues the whole time we were there. So I'm sure there are, whether you have lifeguards or not, you're going to have issues. I agree with Jim. I think as far as getting a gatekeeper down there, that it would be worth the money to do it. And if we have enough money come in to pay for that permit to go, then that should supply the money that the gatekeeper needs to pay for them. Maybe that would help limit some of the problems. But unfortunately, kids are rude. And not just kids, adults can be rude. And I don't blame the lifeguards for being angry about some of the rudeness they're receiving, but there's got to be other ways to come up with to be able to get these kids out of the beach. But then it's monitoring who's going in and who's going out. So you've got issues that you need to discuss, and I think Jim has got some pretty good ideas on how to approach that, and I think with the lifeguards' help, maybe they can go with that. But, you know, I think as far as the beach being accessible at 4 o'clock, you're still going to have the roughhousing. I mean, I've gone after 4 and have had no issues there, but I'm sure there's kids out there at 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So vandalism, I don't know how you take care of that.
And I think we really strongly, I'm not saying that you don't, we really have to enforce this. If they're not behaving, they leave. And if they don't leave, you call the police.
Yeah, that's what it's going to come down to.
Simple as that.
And one of the things that I...
Hold on just a minute.
Of course.
Sandra, did you have your hand up?
It changes the subject, so...
Oh, okay. Jim?
I just wanted to just reiterate what Jane was saying, is that there's been numerous times when people have gone to the beach, and I've gone to the beach during the day, and everything is going very smoothly. Families are working with their kids in the water, they're being respectful that way, they're taking care of their trash. But as with a lot of things, it's the minority. It's those individuals that we see repeatedly that are causing the problems for the majority. The incident today that we had, that a young man dove down, picked up rock, and dropped it through the raft, that's one person. But it inconveniences everyone else that is having a really good time. Now, if we are able to better monitor them and to keep them at bay, so to speak, yes, we will get that atmosphere back as being a family-friendly beach. And as far as repairs to the vandalism, I handled them in a timely fashion. In fact, today, after I received the phone calls and took photos, I got right on the phone and it's being addressed right away. So if people contact me, let me know, because I'm different places throughout, things get done, they get handled. But as Jane was saying, a lot of times families go there and they have a grand time. I have numerous families who come by and see me there and they say, this is a wonderful beach. They really enjoy it, and the accessibility, it's the only beach with a wheelchair accessible ramp, one of the few in the Lakes region. That was needed. It's a great aspect about our beach. And the fact is, our water test qualities, we haven't had to close in years. So that fact alone, we're not afflicted by many of the issues that other beaches are with duck itch and high E. coli, which we test for. So there are good things that are happening, but it's unfortunate when the negative things overshadow the positive that's happening. So if we can find a way to curtail the negatives, we can return it back to a family-friendly beach.
Jane would like to ask a question.
Just about that. Yeah, one more quick comment. I do say, though, and it didn't happen this year, it happened last year. I saw the lifeguard approach somebody on the beach, and the communication back and forth was not good on the lifeguard's part. So, and I understand that you guys get very frustrated sometimes. But like in anything, you have to be able to handle that. And I think Jeanette suggested call the police at that point, instead of you guys having to put yourselves out there is what you have to do. Sorry, Tony. That's what it comes down to.
Well, when somebody's getting obnoxious, ask them to leave. And if they don't leave, call the police.
Oh, and the lifeguards know as well is that they can contact me as well, and I've gone down before. So it's part of working together as a team.
And Jim, I think that's fine that you've gone down, but if the police go down and
Of
other
course.
children see the police there, they're going to think twice.
Understandable.
Sandra?
No, stand up.
You don't have to stand up.
No, it's all right. She's asking me to, so I will. She chose me. Do you remember, Jeanette, it was one of the last meetings, I think it was around election time, when the union contract was being negotiated and then it was finalized. And one of the main issues was that the union members of the contract, they were
they didn't have to pay for their health insurance.
Right.
And you had said at that time that it would be easy, really, to make a phone call, and one of the aspects of, one of the reasons that you can renegotiate is health insurance.
It's funny that you say that, because I just talked to Ray Dow last week, because what's happening is the rep that they have now is not going to be the union rep anymore. There's going to be a new one. So we're waiting until the new one comes on, because she's not going to be there anymore, so she's not going to be able to do it.
Is it Anne Marie?
Yes, she's not going to be there anymore. Okay? But that's funny, because I just talked to Ray last week. Any other comments or concerns or questions? Okay then. There being no other comments or concerns, I would like to adjourn the meeting at 8:32. Is there a second? Second. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Motion carries. Mr.